Okay, new pasuk. Chapter 20, pasuk 7. And we have Mishalech bitumo tzadik, ashrei banav acharav.
What? Oh.
That's you delegating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The static goes in like effective or simplicity.
Yeah, tom and
his-
tom tmima. We
Unblemishedness.
unblemishedness. Yeah, we have not had that. I don't think we've had that.
We
We or
Maybe in Monday night.
or Monday night.
honestly,
Okay, it could be we.
I totally could be wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
The royal we.
Yes. Well, the royal we has definitely had it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So unblemishedness, I think, is the best translation, even though it doesn't flow smoothly off the tongue. Like behemoth mima. Now, mishalech is another weird one. How do you translate it?
He goes.
So
Or
loosely speaking, I would say that.
Yeah.
Right. One who goes or walks.
Makes himself
Go is like the literal one because it's reflexive, right? One. Sorry, hold on a second. So I'm gonna actually give it. I'm gonna do three translations. Okay. One who goes. Okay. One who walks. Let's say walks because that's the muscle. One who walks, or one who makes himself walk. Okay. Or the other one for Mitali.
Is walk.
No. I'll give you the only case I know of where it says this is what the Satan does all day in EO is walking around.
Oh.
He walks around. I don't know why the reflexive is means that, but one who makes one who walks around, okay, in his unblemishedness, unblemishedness. Yeah, okay. Is it tzaddik?
Okay. And
Or you could translate it the other way. A tzaddik walked around in his unblemishedness.
oh, that's what I was.
Oh, that's what you said.
Oh,
Okay.
what were you saying?
I said one who walked around in his unblemishedness is a tzaddik.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's those are two ways to say it. Okay.
Okay. And his son are what?
Apre.
Raised
Or yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or happy. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna put that in.
Yeah.
Like after, but yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. But yeah. So and happy are his sons after.
Okay. Happy or praiseworthy are his sons after him. Tough one. Yeah. Okay. So we got Sadigon, who says Hatzadik. Tell me if yours is different. Hatzadik mishalech betumo. So he says a tzaddik walks or goes in his direction. He's not saying it is a tzaddik.
Right.
So he's saying this is something the tzaddik does. It's not defining him by this. Okay. Betumo. All right. That's fine. Pikach. Therefore, Achrei banav acharav, which kind of is the implication of the pasuk. Obviously, it's like a like. Otherwise, you're just like cramming two statements together.
Well, it could just be saying two essential features of the product.
Yeah, that's true. Right. That's true. Okay, and then the Targum I did not look up. Dimahalech b'tmi musei tzadikahu. So he says he is a tzaddik, tzadikahu. Uv'tuvehon livnohi batrohi. I don't know what tuvehon is. I mean, I assume they're good, but yeah, fine. All right, I'm gonna delete the. Okay. Arkrol, one who walked in his innocence. Arkrol loves translating Tom as innocence. Yeah. Is a righteous man. Fortunate are his sons after him. Living Law says he who walks in innocence is righteous. Happy are his children after him. And all. Yeah. The righteous man goes about. That's like the walking around.
Right.
Goes about in his innocence. Happy his children after him.
Okay.
Yeah. We were hoping for a radical.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh, and we
without physical feedback.
we gotta or not we don't have to, but it would be nice to finish this project today because it's Thursday. Yeah.
And it's our last one.
Or those, yeah. Yes, that's true.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost June.
Yeah.
It's almost yeah.
And we're about to die.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Actually, sorry. Just on that note, by the way, I mean, I know that this is I've said this before, but I don't think I've said it in a particularized way. It is a cool thing that if I knew I was going to die today, I would still be teaching Mishlei. Like that is not something I would change. You know, like it's nice to be able to do that every morning. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I picked this pasuk. Yeah.
Yeah. So, question.
Yeah.
So this is maybe the question to start with, but are his sons being if we translate it Asher as praise,
Yeah.
are his sons being praised because of his qualities or because of their own qualities?
Okay, that's good. Are his sons being praised because of his qualities or their own qualities? Yeah.
What is Halitha?
What is halicha and what is mishalech specifically?
Yes.
Wait, what's the difference between those two?
So halicha is just the verb, is walking,
Mhm.
but mishalech is in the reflexive.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
either it's just an idiom for walking,
Mhm.
or it means you make yourself walk,
Mhm.
or it means you walk around.
Mhm.
So those are the three translations we have.
What is I don't really get the difference between the first and the third.
The first and the third, one
Yeah.
who walks and one who walks around.
Yeah.
One who walks around is not going anywhere. He's just walking around,
Oh, I see.
right? So
But
you don't
with
use walking. You don't say I walked around to
Oh,
a destination.
Meaning,
You know?
meaning not walking to a destination.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like is it the walking around in a state of unblemishedness making him a tzaddik,
Right.
or is he a tzaddik who walks around in
Yeah.
a state of unblemishedness?
Is the mis bitumo something a tzaddik does, or is this what makes him a tzaddik?
Right.
Yeah.
Also, who's the audience of this
Who's
pasuk?
the audience? Correct. Pasuk.
Who is
And
the tzaddik?
yeah, hold on just a second. I think with this one also with the audience, I feel like if this is something that tzaddik does, then it's much harder to figure out the audience. But if it's how to become a tzaddik, then you could say that it's addressed to someone who's trying to become a tzaddik.
Yeah.
Right.
What did you say?
As a who is the tzaddik?
Yeah. What is that the same as what is the definition of the tzaddik in this
Yes.
context? Okay. Tzaddik.
Yeah.
And that's interestingly enough, that's one that I mean, again, if this is defining a tzaddik, you know,
Yeah.
then that is what the pasuk is aiming to do. Yeah.
Are these literally sons?
Right. Another question. What are banav literal, or does it refer to? I'm gonna just call it student because I've said it before that there's the biological son, the son who you raise, and then the students. But I feel like that middle category here is going to be like a division of students because it's like someone who's influenced by him who's not biologically related to him. You know, yeah,
What is the opposite of this pasuk?
yeah.
And is the opposite person a Russia or neutral person?
Yeah. Okay. Just 1 second. What is the opposite? Is it a Ratha or neutral or something else? Yeah.
Right. What does it mean here when it says unblemishedness?
Yes. What is Tmimus? I think that's gonna be that's the noun. What is Tmimus? Yeah.
Also, this might not be a relevant question, but what's the why is it necessary to say offer? That seems like an extra one.
Yes. What is added by Aharav?
And what is offer mean?
Yeah.
Oh, do we have it?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm just smiling because that question will never be answered. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay.
I'm inclined towards praiseworthy because that's what I always. That's what.
That's what it says in the pasuk.
Yeah. I'm inclined towards happy because I feel like that's going to be it's going to what do you call it? It's definitely true.
It's more of a Mishlei consequence.
It's more of a Mishlei consequence, and I feel like not that this is an argument for why it should be that, but I think it does simplify the pasuk to be only talking about the tzaddik's qualities, or primarily the tzaddik's qualities. Or I mean, I feel like it pairs well with that.
Yeah. I feel like it does pair better. Also, if you're talking about that they're praiseworthy,
Yeah.
then like it seems like that would seem to be more the subject of the pasuk.
Yeah.
But then like the first half does seem related,
Yeah.
and also there's another pasuk that is very similar about the relationship of the bracha.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is the tzaddik Ashray?
Oh,
And
that's
are the
yeah.
children Tzadikim?
That's a good question.
Wait, what was the
Um,
question? Father what?
Is the tzaddik Ashray?
Oh, okay.
And then are the children Tzadikim?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have to ask. Was that a hot beverage before, or you just using
Yeah,
it?
it was tea.
Okay.
But I finished my tea.
Yeah.
So I threw the tea back
Right.
down and I put water in.
Yeah, because I know you don't drink coffee, but I was wondering if.
Always tea.
Okay. I don't even think I knew that you drink tea. You didn't drink tea. Yeah. Interesting. We were just having a discussion about tea yesterday. That's why I was on my mind.
Oh, cool.
Do you not like coffee?
I don't.
All right. That wasn't a Yoda reference, was it? Okay. After the fact, retroactively. Okay. Okay. So let's just dive right in. I think we have to think about the first half. Yeah. So in the interest of expediency, anyone mind if we just plug in a definition of tome, tmimus?
It's
No, it's a plug in the definition.
Because tmimus in Mishlei really is very analogous to what we've been doing in Hildos Deos, of like not having any bad traits pulling you in either direction, so if you need something to work with, then that's fine. That's a fine output. Yeah. That's the Rabbinic Yonah's definition according to my understanding. So
Yeah. So,
does it define the tzaddik, or is it something he does? I think that's going to be the technical
Right.
question we have to start off with, just to take a stance on.
yeah, so I guess I'd say if it's defining tzaddik, then, or I don't necessarily say defining tzaddik, because if it's saying that there's a way to become a tzaddik, then I'd say that it's saying that if a person makes them like the way to become the tzaddik is through like following the middle path.
Right. I have a thought, which is, I think this is not defining a tzaddik.
Okay.
Because I think in order to be a tzaddik, you need actual positive qualities, not just removal of negative qualities. I think that's pretty clear.
unless you say that the tzaddik, the actions of the tzaddik or whatever, naturally emerge from being
Right, and that's what I think you can't say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you can't say that. And I'm not getting this from the pasuk. My definition of a tzaddik is someone who, or my understanding of Mishlei's definition of a tzaddik is someone who does actions to benefit the system, which means you have to have knowledge of the system and its parts. And I feel like you can't get that just from not having extreme qualities.
Right. I mean, you could have the desire.
You have a desire, yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to do it.
Right, you wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, you need actual being a tzaddik is a development of being a chacham and a navel, and like you need to actually have knowledge of how these things work. Schwartz would disagree for the internal system,
Yeah.
but I disagree with Schwartz for the external at least.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
He
I
might
mean,
disagree with you.
he might disagree
with
for
you on the external.
exactly, yeah, right. So, what do you call it? There's going to be someone who only listens to this year. It's going to be like, okay, alter is a translation. What's the Schwartz translation? Yeah. Yeah. So based on that, does that give us insight into? Oh, so then according to that reading, it's saying something that a tzaddik does. So a person who is a tzaddik, who is concerned with the system and does actions like it, one of the things he does is he's mishalech patumo.
What does that mean if it's the removal of bad traits? What does that mean to be? That's not a specific plan.
You mean what's the walking?
Yeah, well, yeah, tumo is not an action; it's a lack of bad.
Right. Yeah, but the mishalech was the action and the
Right,
pasuk.
doesn't-
Yeah. So yeah, you're asking, but I'm just clarifying. You're asking about the mishalech, not the betumo, right?
Yeah. Well, right, putting them together.
Yeah. Right.
Right. It seems like somehow him being Masaleh, Batumo, is going to affect his sons, literal or not literal, positively.
Yeah,
Um.
that's another move I was thinking. You know, sorry.
Yeah. No, I wasn't necessarily gonna go further.
You want to hear another move?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not clear on how the relationship between tzaddik and misal patuma.
Me neither. But I'm just saying that misalach b'tuma is not what makes him into a tzaddik.
Okay, you didn't say more than that.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying that if he's like you have a tzaddik, and then if you have a tzaddik who's being Masal Fatumo, that's gonna affect his children.
Yeah, and that's my next step, which is that you would think that the thing that affects the children is his tzidkus, is his tzaddik quality. But what the pasuk is emphasizing is this is the effect of just his mishalach b'tuma on his children. You know, meaning certainly I don't think it's a chiddush to say that the tzaddik who raises kids, his tzedek will affect the kids. But it is a chiddush to say that just his being mishalach b'tuma, which is like a prerequisite to being a tzaddik, or like a foundation on which his tzidkus is built, that's going to be what makes his kid atre.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like based on what we're saying for the definition of tzaddik, it would seem that would make more sense as opposed to saying that being misal b'tumo makes him a tzaddik, because that wouldn't really that's like the first step, but that wouldn't make him a tzaddik, because
Right.
him doing positive actions
Right.
would make him a tzaddik.
Yeah.
And we're not saying he's doing that.
Right, it's necessary but not sufficient.
Right.
To make him a tzaddik, yeah.
That would flow better.
Yeah. So is this an idea now? Still want to understand the mishalech part. Well, we should define what it means mishalech. Yeah.
Also, if it's just his Masal Fatumo, which is affecting his children, then why is it even relevant that he is a tzaddik? You just have a Tom. And that would
Right.
affect his
So that's a good question. So I guess the question is, all right, that's a good question. Is it anyone? So I think that forces us to say that just a Tom, it would not affect the children. So now the question is, if it's, so now you got this weird in between thing. It's a tzaddik who's mishalach b'tumo. The Tom quality, the tmimus quality is not what affects his kids. Sorry, the tmimus quality alone would not affect the kids, and the tzedek quality would not affect the kids. But it's the tzaddik's mishalach b'tumo.
Oh, I thought you were saying that tzaddik quality would affect kids, but even the children.
Oh, I mean, yeah. That is what I meant. Yeah, I meant what the pasuk is teaching us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, if the finish here is the fact that like we're saying, like of course the how do you say it in like
Tzidkus, yeah,
Tzidkus.
yeah.
Like of course the tzidkus is going to affect his children, but it's like a finish that even just his like baseline is going to affect the children.
Yeah.
So that might not apply if he was just
Right.
a Tom. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
and that's why we should think about how that works, because I
Right.
think that it seems like that's the most likely candidate right now.
right. And like, that's like a novel idea that he's expressing.
Yeah,
Being tzaddik plus misal patuma.
yeah. Okay, here's a possibility. I mean, we can think about it, but
No,
yeah, okay. Okay, this is another thing also, I guess. If I'm not preparing ahead of time, I have to ride the waves. Like that's part of how I think. So I gotta like, when it comes, I gotta like.
Yeah, you're equally a member of this.
Yes. So here's the thing. So imagine a Tom a person who's just a Tom. Okay, so how is that going to affect his parenting? So it means that he will not be his own extreme emotions will not be like affecting his kids, right? So it'll be like a neutral like environment where like they have their own their own dynamic, like their own internal dynamic based on where they're at, and then he's not like his, let's say like his, arrogance will not affect them, or his like, ruthlessness, or like his mercy, like good qualities, bad qualities will not affect them. Okay.
If he's a Tom.
If he's a Tom, right? Yeah. So it's almost like like he's creating like a middle path type environment for them to be raised in. Okay. However.
Wait, you're saying if he's naturally in the middle path?
I don't care if it's naturally or if he worked to get there. I'm just saying if he's not a tzaddik, if he's just a Tom.
Yeah.
And when you're saying it won't affect him, you're saying because he doesn't have.
Because he doesn't have the qualities. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was unclear?
You said his arrogance won't affect him.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. He doesn't have. Yeah. That was unclear. Yeah. Okay. However, the tzaddik has good qualities, but his kids have space to develop without having those qualities imposed on them. Okay. Meaning it's the best of both worlds, because they have like a role model who is living a life of tzedek, who's also benefiting them in a tzedek way. Like his household is going to be good, like they're going to have all their needs taken care of and stuff. but he's not. The thing that is, instead of like his own, I'm trying to describe this. Instead of his own mitos like being forced upon them, the only thing that they're interacting with directly with him is his quality, his tmimos quality. Just a second.
Yeah.
So, like for example,
I have an example.
okay,
I think this is
okay, sure.
So, for me, in terms of like learning Torah, like my parents didn't like put pressure on me to like be learning as a kid,
Yeah,
but like I could see that that was something that like my parents
yeah,
valued,
that's a good
and,
example.
like that made me not feel like I had to do it with anything, but like made me want to learn because that was like the value that was being exemplified.
Right. Yeah, and the counterexample to that is one that I heard when Rebbe talks about Esav. That Esav saw that his father valued learning, and I don't know if Rebbe thinks this is a fault of Yitzchak or if this was like Esav's fault, but Esav felt a pressure to be a Yaakov type person. Like I think he says it was Esav's problem, but meaning like Yitzchak saw that Yaakov was cut out for learning, and like Esav was not cut out for learning. Now that doesn't mean that Esav is going to just become a loser, but it meant that he's not a Yoshev Olim. He's not going to be sitting in tents learning all day, you know. But Esav felt that his father was trying to mold him into that, into a Yaakov, and then that pressure created like an unhealthy thing. And the way Rebbe expressed it was he was saying like if Esav had just tried, if Esav had just tried to be Esav, not tried to be Yaakov, then he would have been a tzaddik. You know, then that would have worked. It was the fact that he was like trying, you know. So I'm not faulting Yitzchak for that, but I'm saying that's the dynamic that is not happening here.
Yeah,
meaning they're
Tzaddik, but not Metallic.
yeah, that would be right.
Right. Obviously, you could one of your kids could turn out to be an eighth of, and then like you, like even though you're trying to create this like free environment,
Yeah.
they impose it on themselves.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that could totally happen. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that, right, that like lack of pressure to do like positive actions, like also allows for them to go through the process in like a natural way of like first getting the prerequisite for like just like a general framework of like best for themselves, best for other people, like of just like how to be. And then like once they're in that state, then like on their own, they're gonna come to also because they have that from reference, but like they're gonna develop like the example Isaac was
Yeah.
saying. So like I think that makes sense
Yeah,
to say that because
Yeah.
then they get to go through the whole process. Like
right. It's
from
right,
the-
same
like, all
process
the
that Tzaddik
steps,
went through.
exactly.
He's just like
like naturally.
Yeah,
like,
right. Meaning that there's a danger if the tzaddik were to just impose his aesthetic on them. I mean, I'm not saying the tzaddik would do that, but if that happened, that's like trying to skip a step in a way.
Right,
Like
they'd be
you know,
missing something.
right.
And then it would
you need a
it'd be
baseline for
conflict, right.
And then again, this is the standard thing with there's a Rabbeinu Yonah in the beginning of Mishlei that says this. On the second pasuk in Mishlei, I feel like I've read this before when we were on Zoom. I don't know what. Rabbeinu Yonah says on 1:2, he says, yeah. V'roi la'adam liyaser nafsho tchila laharchik midas harasha v'liot gadar mimenu. Oh wait, no, that's not. Oh yeah, he goes. V'da ki lo hanimlat v'hamitaher miderach midas harasha ola lemidas hatzadik. Nope. I'll just say it in the pasuk form. Is sur me'rav aseh tov, that you have to go away from bad and then you have to develop the good. You can't just if you try to develop the good without removing the bad, then the bad will affect your attempts to develop the good. And I'm not saying like it has to be like you have to be perfectly like like removed from all bad meals before you do this, but I'm saying like that's the ideal is that if you weren't a Tom, it's going to be much harder to develop into a tzaddik. You know, you need to have that baseline of the being evenly keeled. Yeah.
Well, he's not saying that the children. It's not necessarily talking about that progression internally.
I'm going to say it is. Okay, I'm going to switch about the Acharav thing.
Okay.
Okay, that I think Acharav is talking about their development.
Uh-huh.
It's not talking about their present state, and that's why it says Acharav. meaning that he's going to basically set them up based on on how they grow up in his household. It's gonna set them up in the best equipped way for them to develop into being people who are praiseworthy. And answer your question also in terms of are they tzadikim and what you asked two things.
Oh, sorry. Is the tzaddik atre? And
Yeah.
Is the
So the answer is yes. So the tzaddik is atre,
Mhm.
and they will become tzaddikim. But it's saying achra because it's talking about like at a later date.
Right, they're not tzaddikim right
Not
now
tzaddikim right now. Yeah.
because they're in this framework they'll develop.
Yeah.
I have another approach for atre.
Sure.
Like if you say that atre means happy,
Yeah.
then you could say that, like whether or not they actually become tzaddikim, and they'll definitely become like themselves. Or
Yeah.
whatever. They'll live the life they want to live or whatever.
Yeah.
They won't have that like feeling of like being forced into a certain role.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the tzaddik. What if when you're Masala Bishimo, you're not having preconceived. You're not like pushing the children into a specific
Right.
direction. So they're gonna like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Meaning
guess they're gonna be. It's because of that you're. I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, you're only concerned with them being happy.
Yeah.
You're not concerned with them being tzaddikim.
Right.
And they probably will end up like
Right.
tzaddikim.
That you set them up by having them, by just being concerned about them being happy.
Mhm.
It increases the chances that they will become a tzaddik
Right.
in the best way. And if you try to mold them into a tzaddik, then you're diminishing those chances, and you're also probably interfering with their ability to be happy. You know, like yeah. So it's like your best odds are just being mishalach b'tumo, and yeah. Yeah. I feel like I need a little bit more clarity about mishalech b'tumo. Because the way we're saying it right now, basically, is just his tom quality is the thing that's influencing the children. But I don't have a clear idea of mishalech. Yeah.
Well,
When you were young, your parents walked around a lot. Yeah.
well, I think it's not to borrow from his. It's not his data. It's his derech.
Yeah.
He's not that he has necessarily has tom qualities. It's that he's doing tom quality action.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning he could. He doesn't necessarily have to be feeling the actions like he could have errors or ruthlessness or mercy or like any other data, but but as long as he's not expressing it and therefore creating an environment of stimulus for his kids to grow up in,
Mm-hmm.
then that will produce this result.
Okay, so I want to just note that I might challenge that on grounds of truth, but not necessarily on grounds of interpretation. And what I mean by that is like, that's not what my understanding of a tom is. I don't think the tom has those bad qualities. So like the distinction that is valid in Hilchos Deos between like.
Yeah, I guess it's the two.
Yeah, he does have tom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Okay.
If it was betweenless.
Yeah. Right.
I'd say
Tumo makes it sound like it is his actual
Yeah.
unblemishedness,
Yeah.
as we said so eloquently in English. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, first of all, I was going to say just on what Isaac said that I don't think that this pasuk is saying that like he has those qualities, but then like he
Yeah.
just acts and like I think it's saying that he is a tzaddik and he acts in tzaddik ways, and then also to get to that state of being a tzaddik and acting in that way, he has this baseline.
Yeah.
But I think the mishalech could just be like the way that he conducts himself in like his day-to-day life, like and just like meaning not like when he's like being a tzaddik, when he's like sitting and learning, or when like the way that he just like I'm trying to
Goes
think of an
about
example.
goes about life. Goes
Yeah.
like Alter said.
Yeah,
He goes about. Yeah.
yeah, like not specifically his like actions of like learning or getting tzedakah
Yeah.
or like doing something like where they're like, okay, that's very
Right.
clear what that is.
I mean,
It's
they
just,
need
like,
to see it in his normal,
right, like the way
normal life.
he
Yeah.
eats, the way he interacts with his wife,
Right.
the way like
So I think it's actually, I was going to respond to Isaac with one thing, but I think this is just another side of the coin, is that it needs to be two things. One is it needs to be the normal way he goes about stuff like you're saying, but it also needs to be visible to them. You know, for example, in H's Chayil, I got to look this up. I'm not going to look at this. It's going to take me forever to quote this on my own. It says, in Ashes Chayil. Hamuva neha vayashruha ba'ala vayhalala. So her daughters rise up and praise her, and her husband also praises her, right? So one of the things that one of the ideas from that pasuk is that it has to be visible to them to the point where they recognize it. Like there are these cases where like and it's always a weird thing to ask, like how did this happen, where you have let's say like you have a parent who has extremely virtuous qualities, but the kids are not even aware of it because the parent only expresses themselves that way, like in a case where the kids aren't seeing it. Let's say here's an example. This is like a classic example, and I'm not thinking of anyone in particular when I say this, but it's just like I feel like it's a stereotype of like, so and so is like a very 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 good teacher and a caring teacher, and like all of their students know it, but like their kids don't know it because when their mother gets home from work or whatever, like she's not relating to them in that way, So like we can't have a situation like that for this to work, meaning that it needs to be in the tzaddik's normal day-to-day life, and the kids need to like see it, Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that as an explanation for the time.
Yeah, me too. All right, in the remaining 10 minutes, we look at the, let's just summarize what we have and then look at Yona. Yeah.
What does Ashrei mean?
I think Ashrei is praiseworthy and happy, and that's why I use the word Ashrei. Yeah.
So the word Acharav?
And Acharav is because it's talking about their development. It's not talking about their present state.
Wait, so could we explain to why you elaborate on why he uses both praiseworthy and happy, or why he uses Ashrei?
I'm saying because the point of the pasuk is to show that this is how they will turn out to be a tzaddik, but they will also be happy, and whether you say it the way you did, which is that even if they don't become a tzaddik, at least they'll be happy, or like happiness is like a happy childhood is the best fertile soil in which they can grow,
And it's what the tzaddik is like. That's what he is. Like all his motives are toward that end.
Right, and that's what he wants. Meaning, he wants. Ideally, he would love it for his kids to become tzaddikim, to be praiseworthy. But like, if not, then if they're happy, even if they're not a tzaddik, then that's also good. So I think it is a. Yeah, we'll call this the svara of Ashrei, which is that Ashrei is used when both ideas are relevant, and that's why it means both.
Is that a new thing?
It's a new thing. I'm just saying that now. I'm coining that term. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're saying okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm saying svara as a theory.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought like that was a term you were coining, like that's like capital T, capital S.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm saying, and this is one that we're gonna have to test out whenever we see the term Ashrei. Yeah. Okay, let's look at Rabbeinu Yona. Yeah.
So can we say again, what's like the practical import? Like,
So the audience of this is the tzaddik who's raising kids, right? And I think that the tzaddik will. Okay, let me, this is a methodology thing. I think it's tempting to treat the tzaddik as perfect, okay? But there are areas of development in which the tzaddik needs advice. And I think this is an area that like a tzaddik is prone to missing out on because he's at a developmental level where he is operating through tzedek with everyone. But the relationship between a parent and a child is very delicate and like it could go wrong in many ways. And he has to be very, very like careful to not let the aesthetic quality be too in your face for his kids. He has to let the Tom quality be the thing that they notice, and then they'll notice the fact that he's a tzaddik if he's not. So if he's in your face about the tzaddik thing, that could breed resistance and create problems. But if he just raises them in an environment of tamimos, of his Tomness, they will notice that he's a tzaddik and they'll learn from it in the way that you were saying, Yeah.
But we were saying before that he has to make it like
he has to make the Tom quality seen, not the tzaddik quality seen. They'll notice that the thing that they need to see that they are accepted for who they are, not as cookie dough to be molded by the tzaddik mold. Like that's the mistake. And like, and again, it's a mistake that the tzaddik is prone to making, both because tzedek is so real to him, and he cares about his kids, and he wants his kids to be happy, and he wants them to become tzaddikim, and maybe, and I don't know if this is true for all tzaddikim, but like it's possible that he has forgotten how long that stage is of like needing that baseline of the tmimus. It's very easy, almost in the sense of like let's take, for example, people who are chachamim who don't teach kids, and people who are chachamim who do teach kids. The people who are only involved in their own chachma, it's very easy for them to forget what it was like to be in a stage where you don't have a relationship with chachma. So like they will go, like, of course this is great. Like why don't you learn? To them the pleasure of learning is so real that it's inconceivable to them. They've forgotten what.
Like a Roshan Baruch.
Yes, exactly. Like right? Is a zap, like they've forgotten what it's like to be in a stage where the greatness of learning is not evident. Whereas people who are coming, who are teachers, and who are encountering like that stage, of before you see the greatness of Chachma, they're keenly aware of that, and like they'll work with that and realize that you can only get to the stage where you love Chachma through like working from the ground up, step by step, Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like exactly that. Like that's what the advice to tzaddik is. It's saying, don't force your stuff. Stuckos.
Tzedek, tzaddikness, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Don't force your tzaddikness onto your children. Like that would be a mistake.
Yeah.
Which like you might do because they're so caught up in it, and it's like, what do you mean? Well, like why are they? What are they missing? Like, doesn't make sense. But don't think that just because you shouldn't force that onto them, that you therefore shouldn't even try to make your tamimus apparent. Like you should be making your tamimus apparent.
Yeah.
And like and
that's
the distinction
opposite.
and like this is the advice. Like you should make it apparent in your normal day-to-day life of like how you have this middle ground, like, good framework. And at the same time, don't force that and express that.
Right. Yeah. Meaning that is the opposite, which is that the tzaddik could go to an extreme in one of two areas, is being too in your face with modeling tzidkus, or be too withdrawn where like he's not trying to influence his kids at all.
Right.
And what this is saying is no, you need to be an influence in terms of modeling and conducting with them through your tamimuts. And then your natural tzaddik qualities will be noticed by them at their own developmental pace, and then they'll want to be that, and they'll see that, and that's the thing to do. Yeah.
I feel like you see like the opposite sometimes. Like this, like it's a phenomenon where the rabbi's son will go off the derech.
Right.
Because I mean, it doesn't happen. I mean,
that'd be really bad. I might consider whether the rabbinate is like a good job. Yeah.
But like I think it's when the so either it could be a parent thing, could be like societal pressure.
Yeah.
But like where he's like receiving like too much like absolute pressure.
Yeah.
So where he feels like he either has to like follow in his father's footsteps or can't do it.
Right. I just want to also clarify in terms of this idea, like I don't think that this is even necessarily telling the tzaddik parent overt act to do. In other words, the idea is useful also because, let's say like in the Esav example that I gave, and let's assume that Yitzchak did everything right, or not everything right. Let's say assume he didn't make a mistake, in terms of like trying to like pressure him too much to be Yaakov. He still has to be aware of the fact that Esav has his own issues, and Esav might take his parents, he might view his parents in a way where he is like constructing the whole thing in his own head that, oh, my dad wants me to be like someone who's just sitting and learning all day, and if Yitzchak is aware of that,
you can actively be like portray its means.
Right, then it's going to make him aware that the only route here is to like make sure that I can just portray Tmimut in the best way possible, and make him feel accepted and make him feel like, like his, it's unconditional love in the sense that like, it's not love that's on the condition that you become a tzaddik, it's,
Right.
Yeah.
And also just to point out that this is going to help the tzaddik do better his kids.
Right.
So
100%,
like,
yeah.
this is in line with his.
Right. This is how he does tzedakah for his kids. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So this is actually a good thing in the sense that every tzaddik, even a tzaddik has blind spots, and one of the blind spots is probably going to be his kids. Because just that's just the nature of a parental relationship. And again, you see with we have a long track record in Tanakh of people who had blind spots when it came to how they relate to their kids. And like that causes a lot of trouble. Like yeah. I mean, even the Chumash itself. I mean, just with the Yaakov and the Shvatim and like Yitzchak and Esav, and then even Abraham and Yishmael, like and how he related to Yishmael versus like what was good for the household. It's like it's only human for the tzaddik to have these blind spots in his parenting. It's no matter how much of a tzaddik he is.
Right, because I guess tzedakah with other people is different than tzedakah with like you can you kind of have to like not exotic when it comes to doing tzedakah for your kids.
Yeah, it's
I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more blending going on, and in terms of your own, your own emotions there. But I never. The side point, I've never. I guess this is kind of dependent on the question of two parents that I feel like are not talked about a lot, and I've heard the question raised of like, what happened to Moshe's kids? Like you don't hear about them a lot. There's midrashim and stuff like that, but like you don't hear about like Moshe's kids did not become tzadikim. Like to the point where like the pasukim highlight it, and then this is somewhat dependent on how you learn Nadav and Avihu, but with Elazar, you have Aaron and Elisha Bas Aminadav, that was his wife, I think
So.
And then Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, and Tamar, and Nadav and Avihu sinned and were killed. I guess it depends on how you do that, but like that could be another example of how like I think something went wrong there. I don't know if it's from them or for Yeah,
it also depends on whether you take the business world interpretation. But
yes, yeah. All right, you know what? We should probably stop here and not do reading on yet because it's time to end. So yeah, all right. Very good, very good.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.